We hope you enjoy this clip. Before you watch it, please hit that subscribe button. Yo, I actually want to start with this because this was a topic that was brought up today on First Take, and I think it's really interesting to talk about. So it looks like Miami's going to beat the Boston Celtics, and we're going to have a Miami-Denver finals and not a Lakers-Celtics finals, which of course will affect the ratings. We're all realistic in this process. And I kind of want to get into why that's a problem, but I want to start with this. Do you think that the NBA right now has a LeBron and Steph problem? And what I mean by that is with the Warriors and their aging core, with the Lakers and LeBron getting older, I don't know how many more championship opportunities either of those guys are going to get. And similar to Magic and Larry in the 80s, Jordan in the 90s, Shaq and Kobe in the early 2000s. These two guys have sort of carried a generation of NBA fans. And I'm curious if you think there's anyone that's able to sort of step in and take the mantle from those two guys.
And that's funny. I didn't really think about LeBron leaving until he coded it, last night. And then just the thought, wait a minute, this is going to be a problem because who's technically the new face that's going to carry the team? With the NBA, ratings has been, it's been in three cities, right? When the NBA is doing well, it's the Lakers are playing well, Boston is playing well, and for the most part, back in the day, Chicago's been replaced by Golden State. So at some point, when Steph and LeBron retires, someone's going to have to mantle these three cities. Even Boston. With Boston, you have the two young stars. There's going to have to be greatness in those three cities for the NBA to really survive. You can't survive if the talent is in these small cities. So they're going to have to come up with something clever to get, star players over to the cities that really demand, TV time.
We were just talking about this, though. Don't you think one of the problems, though, it doesn't feel like a lot of people watch Denver before this run, so they're surprised by what they've done, them steamrolling the entire West. But is that a sort of structural problem with the way the sport is covered? Because this is even the MVP conversation as well. No one should be surprised at what they're doing.
No one is surprised. I mean, if you watch basketball, the bubble championship by the Lakers, that's who Denver lost to. They lost to the champs. The year after that, they lost to Suns, who went to the championship. And then last year, did they lose to
Golden State,
who won the championship? So, this Denver team has only been putting out by championship caliber teams. So the fact that now everyone is healthy, no one looked at them as a threat when they were the actual threat that was sitting in the West or just sitting in the league themselves. So, but it's Denver. Right? Who wants to tune in to Denver basketball or just Denver themselves?
But this is the problem. So if you watch, and I know you do, I'm just saying you generically, if you watch the Denver Nuggets play, and Jokic talked about this a little bit in the last couple of days, Mike Malone has talked about this a bunch. To me, they play a beautiful brand of basketball. There's ball movement, there's selflessness, there's insane two-man action from Jokic and Murray. There's shot making. How could you not be entertained by that? And so I guess what I'm getting at is, how do we in the media and how does the league transition into a new era? And look, I'm not saying LeBron and Steph will never win another championship. I'm not saying that at all. But the reality is, we're in the late innings of their careers and we're in the late innings of their dominance. And with KD also being a little bit older, it's like, where are the young, who are the young stars that are going to figure this out? And Stephen A has brought this up, and I think it's a valid point. And I'll refer to Tim Duncan a little bit on this too. I don't think Jokic does the promotion of the game because he doesn't promote himself. right? And so much of the league is about star promotion.
Now, if Jokic was in LA or Boston, it's a different story. So there's nothing the league can do because the league is founded on the certain cities. Their first TV games when they merged was Boston and LA. That's it, right? That's all it was. Bird and Magic. That's it. The rest of the league, no one paid attention to. No one even knew they was on drugs, right? It was just Magic and Bird, and that's what we're going to just promote, until we get someone else. And then that's when Jordan came, and then it was those three. Right now, no matter what happens next year, Steph, Golden State, Golden State, Lakers are going to be the big TV games. I mean, if Denver would win the championship and they might get 15 TV games, and that's good. That's good for Denver Nuggets, right? But no one's going to be watching the Charlotte. We're going to watch a little bit of Spurs because of Wemby, and they're going to get some TV games. But for the most part, you're trying to put those TV games in big cities because that's what the consumer wants to see. But it's about the consumer.
But to JJ's point, it 100% is. 100%
yeah, I was going to say, to JJ's point, though, wouldn't the counter to this be Bron and Cleveland at the beginning? I mean, Cleveland's not exactly a big market. There is something about selling the player making an effort to, whether it's doing crossover stuff with like entertainment or ads or whatever it is, but being out there in a way that like brings in a new audience of people who are not just specifically watching their games. I mean, Gil, like when you were in DC, I wouldn't even say DC is the biggest market, but you had a huge sort of like international fan base, it feels like.
Yeah. It's the players, their personality. Jokic is great, but he doesn't have it, right? He doesn't have the it factor that is great for TV, right? The game itself is no different than what Spurs were doing or Detroit Pistons, how they were just a great team. Nobody wants to watch great teams. They want to watch great dominant players. And for the consumer, Jokic game is not sexy. It's sexy for basketball players that, oh man, what he's doing is unreal. But if you're not like Giannis or John Morant jumping out the gym, putting your elbows on the backboard, right? Or you're shooting 50-foot three-pointers. Other than that, what are the stars doing in those big cities? Yeah. So no matter how you sell them, unless he's in Boston, New York, LA, no one's going to be paying attention to that game. But if he played in those three cities, then what he's doing is wonderful, and ticket sales, and they can promote all what he's doing.
I would say this to Tommy's point, because I think it's a valid point bringing up Bron and Cleveland. I do feel that this year, with the opportunity potentially for Jimmy to win his first championship, Jokic to win his first championship, obviously if the Celtics do something that's never been done in history and come back from down 3-0, Tatum his first championship. Now all of a sudden we have a sixth active player who, with LeBron being limited last night, we are going to have a sixth active player who has been the best player on a championship team. And I do think winning a ring matters in this entire conversation. I think marketing players is great. And to be honest, Zion being out for most of his career, I think that hurts because I do think he has that it factor, even though he's in a small city right now. And so I think winning a championship kind of changes a little bit of the casual fans' perspective. And look, the NBA has a bunch of diehard fans, but we do in a way have to cater to the casual fan. We have to, not everybody is Nekias Duncan and Steve Jones who can break down the Charlotte Hornets pick and roll defense in March. Because again, I don't care about that. And I watch the NBA every night.
Listen, we're hoopers, so we can see the importance of players, but the NBA is not built off of that. They don't survive off that. They never have. Tim Duncan was 4 rings in, and when he went to go win his 5th one, we said, oh shit, this is boring. Nobody wants to see Tim Duncan and the Spurs in the championship. That's just facts. No matter how many rings they won, no one really cared about the Spurs like that besides Texas and San Antonio themselves. So he can win another championship. I mean, Jokic can win his championship. No one's going to care. Let's just be honest. I'm sorry. He's not going to go from where he is right now to this super mega star because he's not doing anything kids want to see, right? Giannis, come on, he's running, jumping, dunking, and he's fun loving, he's kid friendly. Same thing with Ja Morant, jumping, dunking, kid friendly. He's gonna dance all through the night. And no matter how bad that we try to tear him down, if the kids want his product, there's nothing the NBA or any of us can do. It's the survival is what are kids watching? What channels are being hit? Everyone loves the Grizzlies because of Ja Morant. Other than that, nobody wants to watch the Grizzlies. They want to see him do what he does. So with Jokic, he has a great NBA game, but it's not an exciting, just like an all-star, right? Last pick, Rudy Gobert, last pick. Great players. Nobody wants to see it.
Okay, hold on a second. Gil. Jokic and Gobert, that's two different things, all right? That's two different things.
But come on, you got Jokic back-to-back MVP. Where did he get picked in the All-Star game?
Last. Well, second to last.
The back-to-back MVP, and that's where he gets picked. So you can tell that it's all about the glimmer of the game. We've been behind the scenes. We really understand what takes winning and what Jokic does, what Jimmy does, is what a winning organization, what winning players look like. But the NBA is not built off of winning. It's built off of stars.
I have a question for both of you guys about this. Do you think even just the last 3 weeks, even last night, changes that dynamic a little bit? I think what he did with the crazy shot over his head last night, even just he didn't have as good a series against the Lakers as he did against Phoenix, but just what he's doing right now and getting this team to the finals, sweeping a team like LA and getting them to the finals. Don't you think that opens up eyes, just even around the league a little bit? Like if they were doing an all-star draft tomorrow, I don't think he's going last in that draft, no matter whether or not he's friends with all the other guys. Don't you think?
Last.
You still think so?
Come on, we're talking about a back-to-back MVP who gets picked second to last. We're back-to-back MVP. So we're talking about a very talented individual. Just when you're talking about showsmanship, there's just he doesn't have it. And he's going to be finals. He's going to win a championship, finals MVP. It's not going to change the audience. No, the Nike's not going to come out with some Jokic shoes and everybody's going to run to the store and buy the Jokic's, the Jokers. No one's doing that, right? You have to be a diehard basketball fan to understand what Joker's doing. Other than that, you're there for the long threes, the dunking, right? Or Lakers.
Yeah. I do think in terms of the All-Star game, some of this is on Jokic himself, who's been pretty upfront that the game's not for him. He's not particularly interested in the rah-rah of the game, and that's fine. It will be interesting to see if he wins, if Jimmy wins. I do think it's a moment. It's an interesting moment for the NBA, and I'm not a marketing expert, but figuring out how to sell the next generation, whether that is Jokic or not, I think we're at a sort of an inflection point over the next year to 2 years about how to sell the NBA going forward. And in some ways, Gil, I know that Kobe was still in his prime once Shaq left LA, but in some ways there was a little bit of a few year gap where it felt like we could be headed to that, right? The post 2002 Shaq and Kobe Lakers. Duncan wins in 2003. Pistons win in 2004. Spurs win in 2005. Heat with a young D-Wade win in 2006. Spurs win in 2007. And then it's Boston, LA, right? That little gap there, though, I feel like that's kind of where we're headed a little bit in terms of trying to figure out the next Golden State, the next Steph Curry. And it remains to be seen, but I'm just saying this is a moment in time that it's pretty important for the NBA and the new TV deals coming up in 2025. So I don't know. I'm kind of fascinated by all of this right now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Boston has a chance with Tatum, young guy, right? Brown, very young guy. They're holding in a big market. LA, once LeBron goes, they're going to have to try to fill that void. If that's trying to, get John Moran over there, I don't see Dallas giving up Luka. They're not that dumb. Denver, I mean, Jokic, technically in our standards, he's on the back 9 of his career. This is year 9. So he is on the downside of, what he is going to be capable of.
Wait, hold on. Jokic?
He's on year 9.
But he's 28.
Year 9.
This is
it's like golf. You play golf.
Okay, but hold on a second. Steph won at 27, his first championship. LeBron first championship at 27. Jordan first championship at 28. Kobe's first championship without Shaq at 30. Hakeem's first championships were in his 30. Like, I don't think he's in the back 9. He's in the back 9. He's maybe in the 4th. He's bottom of the 4th, top of the 5th.
But do you think he plays 18 years? Dominant. So if you don't think that's going to happen, then he's on the back 9.
Well, Jordan didn't play 18 years.
What about his game would not allow him to play 18 years? It's not like he's, running, like you said, like he's not running and jumping and, beating his body.
Gil, I guess what Tommy and I are getting at, why are you such a Jokic hater?
No. No. As a hooper, I love his game. I would love to play with a guy like that. I'm just talking about just the business itself, right? The business. He's not 21, 22, 23, where they're going to say, all right, this is the face, right? They're going to push Tatum. They're going to push Luka. I mean, John Moran was there.
To me, it's like Book,
Shea.
Zion, Shea. Again, but these guys they're not in legacy markets. To your point, I agree with what you're saying. These guys outside of Tatum, they're not in legacy markets. And I think that could potentially be a problem if we don't change how we sort of cover and sell the league. That's, I guess, the overarching point I'm trying to make